Hello, Greek Exegesis students of Revelation. In this video, we're going to talk about your optional commentaries for this class. So what I mean by optional is not you may or may not buy one of these. It is from this list, you must buy at least one of these. So the option is which one you purchase. So I would encourage you to get at least one of these books from the specific list for Greek Exegesis students. The reason that this list is separate from the list for English Exegesis students is that the commentaries that I'm about to talk about in this video and that are on this list are going to deal a lot more with Greek grammar and syntax. So many of the questions that you will be engaging in this course and many of the skill sets that you will be acquiring have to do with your Greek translation skills. And so these commentaries are going to presume knowledge of Greek in a way that the commentaries on the English exegesis list do not presume knowledge of Greek. All that to say, I do ask that you buy one of the texts, one of the commentaries from the Greek Exegesis student lists. But if you want to buy an additional commentary from the English Exegesis list, you are more than welcome to do that. Particularly because many of the texts on the English Exegesis list are not sort of they have different foci. They take different perspectives than do the texts on this list, the Greek Exegesis student list. The texts on the Greek Exegesis student list tend to be much more sort of engaged with the text at the minute level. And oftentimes that means they sacrifice bringing an author's own perspective, their own identity, and their own sort of their own way of seeing and thinking about the world from whatever perspective they might be bringing as a person. So for example, in the English exegesis list, several of the authors are women or people of color, and they explicitly bring that perspective into their commentary. You're not going to get that as much with the Greek exegesis list because because all of these Greek exegesis books are written by old white guys. And that's because this kind of commentary, unfortunately, sort of has often been written by old white guys. The sort of the classical way of doing scholarship where one thinks of themselves as a disinterested or an objective reader of the text. And we'll talk more about that in the beginning of the class, whether or not those kind of objective readings are possible. But all that to say, I do ask you buy one of these books from the Greek exegesis list. I'm looking over here because this is where I'm going to pull my commentaries from to show you. And you can also purchase a commentary from the English exegesis if you want to sort of supplement your reading of Revelation with one of these different commentators from the English exegesis list. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to go through this list. The first two books I do not have on hand. One is packed away and one is I have a digital version of, so I don't get to show you it physically, but the rest of them I'm going to show you physically. So I encourage you to be looking at the syllabus. I'm not going to put the names of these texts on the screen because I'm going to show them to you, but we're just going to go in the order that these texts are listed in the syllabus. And I'm looking over here because this is where my list is, not because I don't want to see your lovely face. So the first item on our list is David Auney's Revelation commentary in 3 volumes. So if I were to show you this one, it would be a nice thick book, sort of expensive. You can get it cheaper in digital editions if you use Bible software. Sometimes you can find it cheaper in the electronic version on your Bible software than you can the actual physical version. It's from the Word Biblical Commentary series, which is sort of one of the top shelf commentary series. It does a really, really good job of getting into the nitty gritty on all different aspects of the text, of sort of the text itself, manuscript traditions, issues of textual criticism, which we'll talk about more in the class, issues of the literary nature of the text, but also the social and cultural world of the text, and application. It sort of checks all the boxes of different foci, except for bringing in, usually these commentators usually don't bring in sort of modern perspectives on the text quite as much. They're not doing as much with theory or with their own identity, but it does do a whole lot with the other aspects of interpretation. So all that to say, it's a really great commentary. David Auney, recently retired, but a just fantastic biblical scholar, has worked on Revelation for years and years and years. So 3-volume work, a big one, but really gets into the details of the Greek text really, really deeply. The next one is going to be Greg Beale's Revelation book from the New International Greek Testament Commentary, abbreviated NIGTC. Greg Beale is an evangelical scholar who teaches at Westminster in Philadelphia, and that sort of perspective comes out in his commentary, his evangelical perspective, not necessarily intentionally. It's not as though he names his context as an evangelical scholar, but some of the sort of interpretive decisions that he makes are very much well in line with the evangelical tradition. So if that is your own tradition, if you label yourself evangelical, this might be a really good text for you. Dr. Beale is very interested in the text itself, and pays a lot of attention to issues of translation in a really minute and careful way. That's also reflected in the size of the commentary. It's a big, thick one. If I had it here to show you, there's also an abbreviated version of this big commentary, which is not on this list because it doesn't do as much with the minute details of the Greek text. All right, on to the text that I do have on hand to show you. This one is the Zondervan Exegetical Commentary on the New Testament, this one by Boost Fanning. This is a relatively new commentary, I believe published in 2020. As you may or may not know, Zondervan is an evangelical press. So once again, if you consider yourself a part of the evangelical tradition, this might be a really good option for you. What I appreciate most about this commentary and this commentary series is sort of the layout of it. It's very explicit about dealing with issues of history and culture for the biblical text, and then a separate section on the literary nature of the text, and then a running commentary that gives you the Greek text and very explicitly comments on features of the Greek. So as far as formatting goes, this is probably my favorite commentary. Very, very easy to follow. Oh, and thickness. Excuse me. I think it's important for you to see how big some of these are, so you can get a better idea of what might work for you given your time constraints on this semester. I should also say that any of these commentaries, we'll talk more about this in the class, consider as reference tools and not necessarily as reading from front to back. These are not the kind of text that you read in that manner, but are very much reference tools. Which is why they are often so thick. And this one is going to be even thicker. We have the Anchor Yale Bible for Revelation. Craig Kester, who is one of the foremost scholars on Revelation. The Anchor Yale Bible Commentary is another one of those sort of top shelf commentaries. I would say top 3 as far as commentary series go, along with Word and the Hermeneia series. So Craig Kester's Anchor Bible, this series and this book in particular are very much going to be cued into the social and cultural world of the text and the text itself. It's very much a critical commentary, and by that I mean critical as in giving close attention to the text. The next one is going to be Edmondo Lupiere's commentary on the Apocalypse of John. It's a little, or I should say actually quite a bit less thick than Kester's Anchor commentary. And what Lupiere's commentary does really well is he is an expert on the genre of apocalyptic and apocalyptic movements in the ancient world. So he does a really good job of sort of situating Revelation with respect to other apocalypses, other apocalyptic texts, and other apocalyptic movements in this time period. So in a way, it's very historically and culturally focused, situating Revelation within those contexts. And it also does good to, it doesn't get so detailed in the commentary that you sort of get lost. A lot of times when you look at a commentary, there's so many parentheses and so many italics, and there's so many Greek words and symbols that you can find yourself getting lost. This does a really good job of giving a Greek phrase and then offering a paragraph or two on it, so it's really, really easy to follow. Our next one is Robert Mounce's Revelation commentary from the NICNT series, which this is also sort of a classic commentary series that's very popular sort of across the board. It's pretty well balanced as to its theological perspective, but tends to take a very detailed approach to the text itself. So you're going to find very small snippets of text and quite a bit of commentary on issues of grammar, syntax, and the text itself, with less of a focus that's sort of looking to application and theology. And I would say the same comments apply to Grant Osborne's commentary and the Baker exegetical commentary on the New Testament itself. So this is a little bit thicker, but it's going to give close attention to the text, and it's going to be sort of really middle of the road as to theological, ideological, and political perspective goes. I would say it's not necessarily a conservative commentary. It's not a liberal commentary. It sort of takes the via media in that respect. So again, I ask that you choose one of these texts from the Greek exegesis list, and the purpose of this is so that you serve as your commentator's representative for the class. So in the forums and in the class, we will be talking about different issues of translation and grammar. And what we're going to find is that these commentators take different positions on different questions and on different issues of Greek translation and grammar. And so what you'll be doing is not necessarily agreeing with your commentator, but at least representing them and saying, this is my commentator's position on this question that Dr. Elder has posed. And this is why they think that, sort of being able to name their argument. And then so the other reason that we use commentaries and that I ask you to purchase a commentary for this class is so that you acquire the skill of reading a commentary and sort of using it, as I said, as a reference tool. So you get experience doing that so that you can then use commentaries in your own preaching and in your own ministry. So once again, I ask that you buy at least one of these commentaries from the Greek exegesis list. You can buy more than one if you so desire and you so have the funds to do so. And also look over at the English exegesis list. Those commentaries aren't going to presume knowledge of Greek to the extent that the ones on this list do. And some of them are going to be much more ideologically focused and bring that into the commentary. So good luck with your decision. If there's another commentary or a commentary series that you know of and that you particularly like or you have used before, with my permission, you can use that for the class as well. But please do check in with me about it before you make that decision.